There are many people involved in helping us keep the story of Port Chicago alive, and the Friends of Port Chicago National Memorial have been a driving force behind making sure that this site is recognized and the story is told, even before we were established as a national park. I would like to invite the president of the Friends of Port Chicago National Memorial up to the podium, Reverend Diana McDaniel.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Tom. Greetings to everyone. The Friends of Port Chicago National Memorial is a nonprofit group. We're a public benefit corporation, and our mission is to honor those who died here, to honor those who served here, to honor those who protested here. And we work to keep the story alive, and we have sort of been that push. We've been advocating for it to become a national park and for exoneration to happen for those who were found guilty of mutiny. We work to keep the story alive so it's not forgotten, to enhance student and visitor education, and to clear the records of those found guilty of mutiny. We work collaboratively with the East Bay Regional Park District, and we are an official partner with the National Park Service. And we work to increase public knowledge of this place, and we support this national monument. We have a table in the visitor center, where when we have our reception after this event, we invite you to stop by our table and find out a little more about us. We have a few of Robert Allen's books, Port Chicago Mutiny, for sale. And we're like a fundraising arm. We can ask for money. And so we want to support this world-class visitor center that's being built. I'd like to acknowledge our board members. We have Camarin Madigan here today and David Salniker. I want you to know we're not a great big group of people, but you know, we are small but mighty. So I want to thank Superintendent Tom Leatherman and all the park rangers. You know, the park rangers are special people. Thank you, Kelly. You told that story beautifully. And we thank you for maintaining and taking care of this site and our public land. And thank you to Brian Hove and to Beverly Lane and to all of the East Bay Regional Park District for accepting that 2,216 acres the other day from the Navy for a great regional park where the Port Chicago Visitors and Interpretive Center will be. And we thank you for the city of Concord for working so well with everyone, and a special thank you to Congressman DeSaulnier for bringing national attention to the Port Chicago story. I know you've seen in the paper probably that the House passed a bill on Friday where there was language included to exonerate the 50 men. I just think that's amazing. We've been working for that so long. The Senate still has to pass it, however, we're hopeful. If it doesn't happen this time, it will happen at some point. And our greatest thank you goes to the men and their families who made the ultimate sacrifice. So thank you. And you've stood up, and I would ask you to stand again for those whose fathers or uncles or family members served at this facility and who died. About that. So I invite you, would you stand, please? We want to thank you because it was your loss too. We want to have the whole story told. So thank you all for being here, for remembering Port Chicago, and we do invite you to join us at the reception. We're providing the refreshments, so there's a little something for you to enjoy. And now I'd like to tell you about someone who's very special to us. Now, she didn't want us to choose her to receive an award, but we had to insist. She's humble, she's unassuming, and the dynamic all the same time. She's an all-around poised and balanced person. Now, I found out that she ran track, played soccer, water polo, was a scholar athlete. I went, wow, I found out more about you. She speaks French. I know she did ballroom dancing, and she's a lawyer. And when she was 16, she attended her first trial at the table with the lawyers, not in the spectator section. She was advising the case lawyers. She's a mom. She has 3 beautiful daughters. Her name is Camarin Madigan. She has a JD from the University of California at Hastings, a BA from Grinnell College, where she graduated with honors, and she met her husband. She is our dedicated and committed pro bono attorney who serves in many capacities and advises us so well. So thank you, Camarin, for all the time and energy you have put into the Friends. And David and Camarin, would you come forward, please? Every year we give a Commemorative Heroes Award, a Friends Commemorative. Okay, David, you
This year, the Friends of Port Chicago National Memorial salute Camarin Madigan as its 2019 Commemorative Hero in tribute to your long-standing commitment, dedicated service, and very wise counsel. Thank you.
Well, I'm especially honored to receive this award this year on the 75th anniversary. When I first got involved with Port Chicago, they really had 2 major goals. The inland portion of the property, to get that conveyed over to the East Bay Regional Park for future dedication, and the service, the visitor center, and exoneration. And those 2 goals, it's just so very exciting that they have happened right now on the 75th anniversary. So I feel, as I said, very, very honored to be part of the group, and in this special year where we've really come so far. But as I was telling Reverend Diana, you know, we've come so far, but we really still have so very far to go. I have worked in the Bay Area now for almost 20 years, and when I tell people, I have many pro bono projects and things that are really dear to my heart that I work and serve in, and one of them is working with Port Chicago. And then I get this kind of blank stare, and they're like, but you work in San Francisco. Why do you work for something in Illinois? And I'm like, no, Port Chicago in Concord. How long have you lived in the Bay Area, and why don't you know the story? Come sit down, let me tell you, although I don't tell it as well as Kelly does. That was an amazing one. And so last year I had the honor of giving this award to our very good friend, Raphael Allen, who passed away last year. And he was the greatest teacher and storyteller, and he really took not just our goals and kind of where we've come, but really where we need to go, and telling the story to everyone. And so I'm very excited that we have the property now, so now we can start talking about the visitor center, which will just be one more way that we can tell the story and make sure that the people and the things that happened here and to the people who were affected are not forgotten, but also to remember how far we've come and how far we still need to go. So thank you all for coming and knowing where Port Chicago is, and I hope that you go home and tell somebody the story so that we can continue the tradition that so many people, including Raphael Allen, have started. So thank you again.
Thank you, Camarin. Thank you, Reverend Diana. So I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize, and Reverend Diana already mentioned our representative from Congress, Mark DeSaulnier. He wasn't able to join us today, but are his staff here in the back? We have a few of his staff, so thank you for coming, and thank you for, please thank the Congressman for his efforts to recognize the importance of Port Chicago and all the things that he's been doing. We also have elected officials from the City of Concord, and we have the mayor, Carlin Obringer, and she's going to share a few words with us.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's my honor and pleasure to be here with you today on this special memorial occasion. And here we are standing in a place of peace. But 75 years ago this evening, there was the violent explosion and the violent aftermath that ripped apart people's lives, more than the 320 men. Echoes that we're still hearing today. And I want to thank Chief of Interpretation Kelly English for sharing with us, taking us through step by step, moment by moment, what happened to reenact it for us here. And I'm so thrilled that there are so many people here because, as was just mentioned by the honoree who spoke before me, you know, this story is not told enough. I didn't have the privilege of growing up here in Concord. I actually grew up in Western Pennsylvania. And when I moved to the Bay Area in the early 2000s, I had the same reaction as many others do. Port Chicago, what in the world is that? And it's such a critical part of our history. And so I'm thrilled that all of you are here today. I know that we have members of the media that are here. I think it's very fitting that at this 75th anniversary, we're also celebrating the transfer of the land from the Navy to the National Park Service and the East Bay Regional Parks District so that we can set up the Interpretation Center, Visitor Center that's going to be able to continue to share this powerful story with thousands of visitors over the generations. And so I want to thank you all again for being here today. I want to thank the Parks District. I want to thank the Navy. I want to thank the National Park Service, the Friends of Port Chicago, everyone that's here that's been involved with this. Congressman DeSaulnier for keeping the goal alive, keeping an eye and focus on exonerating those men so that all can know and honor their special legacy that's continuing to live on, and how their actions have led to freedom and how we're going to continue to fight for freedoms and equality for all going forward. So thank you again for being here.